All right. Been a beautiful day today. A little chilly. Sitting there looking at local news, and weatherman said, you know, if you head outside and look up in the sky, you'll see the space station drifting by. We had about a 4-minute window to see the space station. Beautiful out tonight. Mars shining bright. You know, if you look due east of where we live, you can see a mountain range. Chihuahua Mountain. One of the foothills to the Great Smoky Mountains. Usually if you're going through a mountain, you gotta find some of the passes so you don't have to climb so high. There's this old fella had him a girlfriend over the Smoky Mountains over in North Carolina. He didn't have a car, didn't have a horse or a mule, and he said, I got to go see my girlfriend every day. So he didn't have much of a choice except to sing and walk. I've got a home in North Carolina. I've got a home in North Carolina. I've got a home in North Carolina. Never expect to see you anymore. My home is across the Smoky Mountain. Is across the Smoky Mountain. My home is across the Smoky Mountain. I never expect to see you anymore. Tell me how can I keep from crying?
Tell me how can I keep from crying?
Keep from crying, Lord. How? To see you anymore. What my baby Peter Pan. Won't you rock my baby? Give the woman candy. Won't you rock my baby Peter Pan? I never expect to see you anymore. My home is across the Smoky Mountain. My home is across the Smoky Mountain. My home is across the Smoky Mountain. I never expect to see you anymore. Where is that finger ring I gave you? Tell me, where is that finger ring? I gave you a ring. Would you tell me, where is that finger ring I gave you? Well, I never expect to see you anymore. Well, I'm going home next Sunday morning. I'm going home next song that was collected over in North Carolina by a man named Bascom Lamar Lunsford. Although some people tell me if I was to meet Bascom Lamar Lunsford, I wouldn't have liked him. I understand he had some ideas that I wouldn't have agreed with.
You got a capo for that?
Kind of like back during the days when there was few folks in the mountains. Everybody kind of picked their own holler or hill to live on. They only got together at special occasions, like these meetings where they'd all get together and everybody come together and hearing a whole bunch of preaching and praying and such, or maybe barn raising. If everybody kind of pitched in and helped each other raise their own, to build the barns, it wasn't such a hard job to do, you know. But then, you also had things like Election Day. You know, we just went through that not too long ago, and that's still in dispute. Well, no, it ain't no dispute. It's just somebody not wanting to accept reality. I think I got too many guitars here. I ain't got this many hands. Well, back in 1880, folks in eastern Kentucky, over there near Pikeville and on up to the border there between Kentucky and West Virginia, there's a river running there, Tug Fork. And there was folks living there that had been friends of a sort until the 1860s when the Civil War broke out. And unlike the people who lived in the Deep South, well, let's face it, you know, if you're from Mississippi, you know you're in the South. Because you go any further south, you're going to fall in the Gulf, right? Swimming with Free Willy. But if you lived in the Upper South, here in Tennessee, north of us there in Kentucky, east of us North Carolina, and north of that Virginia, you had to choose which side you were going to be on. Which meant that when the war started, you had families split apart, split asunder, neighbor fighting neighbor, brother fighting brother. And so after the war, when the war was declared over, you had people a little bit mistrustful. There's this one fellow named Randall McCoy went to see his friend Floyd Hatfield. And while he was there, he noticed that they'd had to round up all the hogs, but they let them run free, you know. They didn't pin them in and let them eat the acorns and whatnot, you know, and then when it came time to slaughter, then you bring them in, fatten them up a little more, and then you had some pork. Well, he happened to notice. I mean, they didn't wear no sign that say I'm Floyd Hatfield's pig or I'm Randall McCoy's hog. You had to. They would clip the ears in such a way that instead of branding them, so you'd know, well, that's one of my pigs. And there in Floyd Hatfield's corral, he noticed one or two of them pigs looked like his.
Uh-oh.
And he raised the fact that I believe you got some of my hogs.
Thief.
Well, it got to the point they took it to the law. This is before the Supreme Court was stacked the way it is now. They got 6 Hatfields and 6 McCoys to be in the jury. They figured, well, you know.
Sounds fair.
Sounds pretty fair, you understand? But then you had old Selkirk McCoy voting with the Hatfields, and Randall McCoy lost his suit there in the before the Justice of the Peace, and thereafter, old Floyd Hatfield was known as Hog Floyd Hatfield. Seemed like he would have let that pig go, did not got that nickname. Well, then on election day 1880 that I mentioned, everybody would come down to the county seat where the election was to be held, whether you was from just over the Tug River over in West Virginia or Kentucky, because it doesn't mean you came down to vote, you came down to commiserate. That's I always like that word, commiserate. Or you came down to court and spark. Or you came to sell some of your corn squeezings that you've been brewing all winter time. So it was a merry old time, and there was this youngin' named Johnson Hatfield. He'd had on his Sunday best. They say he had some brand new yellow shoes. And he got there and he saw this pretty red-headed woman. He said, "Who is she?" They said, "Well, that's Randall's daughter. Randall's oldest daughter, Roseanne. Roseanne McCoy." And let me tell you, the young folks got to sparking one another, and they went off for a couple of hours to go walking through the woods and came back. And all her kinfolk were gone. Well, what am I going to do? Well, Johnson Hatfield said, "Why don't you come over to the house? Daddy won't mind." Well, his daddy's name was Devil Ants. And after all the trouble with the hogs and the Civil War and stuff, they didn't trust no McCoys. And now you done brought the youngin', the woman, the girl, his daughter here to the house. That was just another brick in the wall between the Hatfields and McCoys. Here's a song from that area of the world in that time. Cheeks as red as the blooming rose, eyes of the deepest brown. You are the darling of my heart, won't escape when the sun goes down. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my true love, I'm going back to Harlan. When I was a little boy, I used to want a knife. Now I'm a big, strong man, all I want is a wife. Shady Grove, my true love, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my true love, I'm going back to Harlem. Well, I wish I had a horse so fine, corn to feed him on. Wish I had a little Shady Grove to feed him when I'm gone. Wish I had me a nickel and I wish I had a dime. Wish I had a little Shady Grove, I kiss her all the time. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. Said I'm going back to Harlem. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, I know. Shady Grove, my true love. I'm bound for Shady Grove. Well, I wish I had a little Shady Grove. I'd put her on the shelf. Every time she smiled at me, I'd climb up there myself. Wish I had me a nickel. I wish I had a dime. Wish I had little Shady Grove, kiss her all the time. Wish I had little Shady Grove. At 11 miles of mountain road, 15 miles of sand. If ever you see me back this way, gonna be a married man. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my true love. Said I'm going back to Harlan. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love. Gonna marry you someday. Shady Grove, my true love. Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my true love. Hey, don't you wait till the judgment day. Shady Grove. Well, you know all that fighting and whatnot that was going on there with the Hatfields and the McCoys, and pretty soon they started sending Pinkertons down and Baldwin Felts agents and whatnot. And then when all that fighting and was going on and whatnot, and then these bounty hunters went home, he started talking about the plethora of timber and coal. And this is right during the time of the Industrial Revolution and the rise of the Gilded Age, dukes, and there was a lot of folks that went in and bought up the mineral rights to the land and taken all that wealth out away.
This is a song written by a woman that comes out of my home state of Kentucky, Jean Ritchie. And of course she grew up in eastern Kentucky, and she talks about how the coal mining industry, the decline of the coal mining industry in this song. Of course she was a real tradition bearer. She collected a lot of songs. A lot of them came down in her family. A lot of the old songs that were passed down even from way back, you know, from the British Isles. And later on she did research into all that. But this is one she wrote. She was an incredible songwriter, and really brought out some real poignant songs. And this is one of them, talking about the decline of the coal mining industry. You know, these coal miners are left without jobs, And but there are people and places that are trying to help them. Like out in Wyoming, where there's a lot of coal mining, they were training people to be wind technicians. And then in West Virginia, they were training ex-coal miners to put the solar panels on roofs. So it seems like a win-win situation.
In the mines, in the mines, in the blue diamond mines, I work my life away. In the mines, in the mines, in the blue diamond mines, oh, fallen leaves and gray. Well, union is dead, and they shake their work my life away. In the mines, in the mines, in the blue diamond mines, oh, fallen leaves and gray. John L. had a dream, but it's broken, it seems. The union is letting us down. Last week they took away my hospital card and said, why don't you leave this old town? Come on downtown, boys, let's hang around. Maybe it ain't so bad. Go on back home. And they meet you at the door. What do you bring me back? In the mines, in the mines, in the blue diamond mines, I work my life away. In the mines, in the mines, in the blue diamond mines, oh, fallen leaves and gray. Gene Ritchie. Well, we lost our video, so I hope we're still out there. I hope I can still see.
We'll continue as if we are.
As if we knew what we were doing.
Actually, we need to do the last one, I guess. Are you going to do?
Oh, is that time?
I don't know.
Well, we'll do that, and if
We've got
not,
5 minutes.
Yeah, all right, so let's
Okay.
go ahead and do this.
Okay.
I need to make sure I'm in tune. I moved the cable, but I haven't tuned. Hang in there. This is a little bit of technical.
some time for. I spent some time in eastern Kentucky when I was a young adult, and I don't know if you've ever spent much time in the mountains where we live here, but because I know you sent things out all over the country to people that know us, right? For this, for the Laurel Theater Jubilee Festival. But in our area, you get in some of these hollers and mountains, and you look up, and the sun rises at 11, and it sets at 1. Because there's just not much room out there. There's a mountain on that side, there's a mountain on that side, there's a mountain there, and a mountain back there. And of course, the roads tend to follow the waterways. And so I tell you, if there's a gully washer, if there's a big storm, you're stuck where you are for a while. And I think that's probably where this song came from.
Is that akin to like a frog strangler?
A frog strangler, I believe it is, yeah. You ready? Here, tune to my banjo.
That's all.
That's all, folks. Our website, sparkyandrhonda.com. SparkyandRhonda.com. Thank you so much.